What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. I'm in the process of moving, so I'm still on the road. And, I'm trying to find places out here where I can pull over and make videos for you guys. Found me a nice mid-century park in a small town. And, it's got a nice old school vibe. It takes me back. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, Tupac Shaker. Anyways, this bench that I found, I guess it has some sentimental value to it. I'll go ahead and read it to you. It says, "Old friends sat on their park bench like bookends. Preserve your memories, they're all that's left of you. In loving memory of Jay and Debbie Chupak, 2021. Jay and Debbie Chupak. Well, we salute Jay and Debbie Chupak, and we thank them for providing this bench to make this video. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about today is the difference between big city women and small town girls. I think the title of this video will be "Small Town Girls Have Love in Their Eyes." I want to make this video mostly because I think most of the dating advice out there comes from people that live in big cities. The popular cities are Miami, New York, LA, Las Vegas, London, and probably Sydney, Australia. But I think most of the viewers are coming from small towns. And I've spent some time in the big city and I've spent some time in small towns. And I just want to share my perspective on the subject and kind of tell you the differences. Now, first of all, what you need to understand about big city women and big city men too, just a big city culture, is it's mostly driven by status. And status, I guess what drives a man to want to be high status is greed and lust. So he chases the money and he chases the pretty women. That's just kind of how it goes, right? That's pretty simple. And for women, it's kind of the same, but women tend to, they go after the men with the money and the status. They go after the good-looking men. Some of them, you could say are escorts. They're just shamelessly escorts or OnlyFans girls. Some of them are a little more secretive about it, and they're just, they call it standards, but really they're gold diggers in terms of what they're pursuing in the dating market. So that's kind of the culture that you have between men and women. Women want the rich men to settle down with, and they like to hook up with the hot guys and the chads, right? That's pretty common knowledge. And men kind of view women as a status symbol, and they want the prettiest girlfriends, and they want to have the most money. It's all status driven, you could say. And it makes sense because in a big city, it's expensive to get around. It's expensive to live a good life. So it only makes sense women would want the guys with the money and men would want the money. Right? But that's kind of the foundation, or I should say that's kind of the playing field that you're on. Now, of course, if you have some game, you know your way around, you know how to get after what you want, you can still get what you want. I'm just saying that's the playing field in a big city. Now, when you go to a small town, it's not about status, it's about reputation. And, men want a reputation of being a hard worker, being a trustworthy guy, a guy that you can count on. It doesn't really matter how much money he makes, but he has to be a sure thing. And women in small towns tend to have love in their eyes. They want to build families. They want to be homemakers. And I say this because, if you're chasing these big city, you know, big city wants and needs, living in the big city, your strategy is going to be different, right? I mean, status does matter, right? But the foundation of your relationship is never going to be a sure thing because it's not really built on the right things. When you go to a small town, women are satisfied with simple things like taking a walk around the neighborhood, taking a walk at the park, sitting on a park bench and holding hands and having a conversation. You can do these most basic, normal human interactions, and women are sitting there with love in their eyes and happiness, smiling from ear to ear. They're not in touch with modern culture. Instead, they're in touch with their psychology and their biology. Their needs to have a man, their needs to have a family and loved ones, and their needs to be emotionally fulfilled, right? To have companionship and, just to have somebody to be with. And when you have that type of a dynamic, you can build a relationship on the right things, not just on money, not just a situationship where she can divorce you at any given time and take your money, which she can still do that, but again, the foundation is based on good intentions, typically in a small town. So that's something to think about. And we could even go as far as to say not just towns, but countries. Some countries are a little more fast-paced, a little more money and status-driven. Modeling culture is a little more prevalent, so looks are a little bit more important, whereas other countries are a little more simple. I'm sure if you go to Sweden, it's going to be a lot different than the USA. But, the main thing is the status-driven society versus the reputation-driven society. In a big city, your reputation doesn't matter that much. You can have a really shitty reputation. You can be a backstabber, you can be a prick, you can be unfaithful, you can be a criminal, you can do all kinds of weird shit. But if you have money and status, you'll still get respect. In a small town, your status doesn't matter that much. Right? They don't care how rich you are, how famous you are, how high status you are. What matters is your reputation. Right? Are you somebody that people can count on? Somebody that people can trust and people can rely on? And if you are that, you're going to be a high value man in a small town. It's interesting. It's interesting to go back and forth to these different areas and just see the difference. You see things in a small town that you never see in the big city. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like sentimental, it's like heartwarming to see a couple, like a young 22-year-old couple, walking down the street, holding hands, just staring into each other's eyes with pure happiness and love. You don't see that in the city. You don't walk through New York and see that. It's not part of the game there. And, like I said, no matter where you're at, if you have a little bit of game and you know how to get what you want, you can accomplish whatever it is you want no matter where you're at. It's just your strategy is going to be a little bit different because the playing field is different. It's like it's a whole different sport altogether. But it's interesting nonetheless. I just wanted to give you guys something to think about because a lot of times when you watch dating advice videos or, you read up on articles, you see a lot of contradictions. Just to give you an example, I myself have made videos with titles similar to "The Reason Why Women Love Nice Guys and Despise Bad Boys." And then 2 weeks later, I might make a video that says "The Reason Why Women Love Bad Boys and Despise Nice Guys." And the truth of the matter is, there are advantages to both, but there's advantages and disadvantages to both, but they're two completely different subjects. It's the equivalent to saying the benefits of a vegetarian diet and then making another video the benefits of a carnivore diet, right? It's different in all these different situations. They're different subjects altogether. So that's something that you want to think about. So I know a lot of guys will watch content and they're trying to apply certain strategies that maybe aren't the most beneficial strategies to them. Another example, maybe you're a guy that's extremely beta, you're extremely nice, you're a pushover. Well, the type of advice you should be watching is kind of more alpha male type of advice. But what if you're a guy that's extremely alpha and you are just an asshole to everyone and you're selfish and you can't seem to figure out why people don't like you, like you're cocky and you're a badass and you're rich and you're good looking, but people still don't like you? Well, maybe you watch advice that seems a little more beta because you need to find balance no matter which side you're on. There has to be a little bit of balance. But that's that. I guess that's a different subject. But the main point that I wanted to make was, the big difference between city women and the small town girls. And I know you city guys out there, you're meeting women, you're taking them on dates, and you think, well, you got to take them on these nice dates to impress them and shit. And a lot of women aren't going to give you the time of day in a big city if you don't have the money and status. Even if you have a lot of game, part of the game is understanding that not everyone's going to like you. So, you got to pass up on some of them. They're just not meant for you. But that part of the game only exists when people are corrupted. Because they're driven by the wrong reasons. They're influenced by the wrong things. But when you actually get to see human beings in more of a natural habitat, not corrupted by pop culture, by whatever is currently in style, and just basing things off of their own psychology, their own biology, and just going with it. That's a little bit different. You can build things with good intentions on a solid foundation. You can meet yourself a lady that actually loves you. Imagine that. Doesn't seem possible in a big city, does it? That's just a difference that I've seen going back and forth. And the reason why I mentioned countries is because you see a lot of guys doing this passport bro shit. And I don't typically speak too much about my own dating life, but I would say, I'd be willing to bet that I have equal to or greater than levels of experience with women from other countries other than the United States. Greater than or equal to just about anybody else in the manosphere. I had a Mexican girlfriend. We slept in the same bed for years. I've been with plenty of American women, but I've dated my fair share of women south of the border, a couple of Asians as well. There's a reason why so many American guys find Latinas and Asian women so appealing. And that's because they tend to be in touch with, their feminine polarity, you could say. Psychologically and biologically, emotionally, they're in tune. And they know how to be excellent wives, excellent homemakers, excellent girlfriends. And, you know, in some of the more fast-paced, more developed countries, a lot of the women, you know, they're more in their masculine polarity. And maybe we're just evolving. You know, men are kind of entering a bit of a feminine polarity as well. Men seem to be the ones crying and all sad and emotional in the big cities, whereas women are, you know, aggressive and assertive. You know, in small towns, it's a little more in tune, you know, to natural human nature. Men are masculine, hardworking, you know, protectors and providers, and women are feminine, really good family values. And, you know, when you go to some of these other countries, or if you meet a woman here that comes from one of those countries, you can see a difference. I'll put it like that. But you see the same difference between big city and small town girls. I'll just put it like that. Alright guys, guess I won't ramble anymore. Nice little airplane. We didn't get much sound effects in this video, but at least we got something here at the end. I'm going to get back on the road, but you betcha I will find a new spot to pull over, turn the camera on, and shoot the shit with you guys. And it will go down within the next few days. So I'll see you then. I hope this video was somewhat informative. And that's about it for today, guys. Until next time, see ya.